So next we're going to go into the outsource engineering method, and the term outsourcing is not new. There we have been outsourcing goods and services and products for a very long time. And so outsource engineering is when you take your whole engineering team and you have it done through another company, but by a third party. And for a engineering, excuse me, for a scaling startup, this is extremely cost effective because it's a lot cheaper than hiring internal, and it can also be flexible based on the ebbs and flows of your startup. So for example, let's say that you have a software product, and there is one quarter that you really need work. You have a growing customer base. Then you can really work with the outsource engineering team on that. However, you know, there are at least from my experience, I've seen some of the cons for outsourced engineering teams, especially around some of the business kind of models and philosophies. So outsourced engineering teams and firms, um, they typically promise everything underneath the sun. Yes, we can build this feature. Yes, we can absolutely work with your very large budget. You know, and also there may be some hidden costs associated to that, especially with like a fixed bid contract or milestone based approach. And for a scaling startup, sometimes you only need the $10,000 Honda, but they really sell you that $60,000 Cadillac. And I think that especially for these scaling companies trying to get product market fit, starting off with a very lean MVP, of a very fractional cost, is absolutely doable. But these outsourcing teams, they may try to bump up what they promise. Also, I've seen a lot of this recently, and I can think of about 4 or 5 stories off the top of my head around IP issues. So when you work with the whole engineering outsource team, you oftentimes see that there are IP issues. Who actually owns the IP? Who owns the technology? Is it the company, or is it the outsource engineering team? And in two examples that I can think of, you actually this company spend more on legal fees trying to sort out those IP issues than the total cost of the outsource engineering team. So the next model, as I mentioned earlier, this is a relatively new concept around staff augmentation. So typically outsource engineering is the whole collective engineering team, but staff augmentation is on the individual engineer level. So let's say that you have a startup, and you do have a couple of those internal team members. Maybe you have a product manager, maybe you have 2 other engineers. You can work with a staff augmentation firm to add on engineers that help you scale your product. So staff augmentation is a great method for short-term holds. However, if you think about it, the long-term the long-term cost of staff augmentation can be really, really high because it can run up your labor cost. And also there is that opportunity cost of switching, potentially switching engineers, onboarding new team members, and really establishing that team culture, their processes. And I am also a really, really big fan on that team culture aspect. And I can think of a couple examples where there was a true gap between the internal team members and the staff augmentation engineers. And especially when building a product from the ground up and scaling it, you do really want to have that team culture all aligned together.